If you're struggling to get your rudiments to sound as good as they should be, and you've hit a brick wall when it comes to getting them faster, you're probably just not using the right technique. Achieving speed in your playing requires you to have more control. You could jump in a Formula 1 car right now, put your foot down and you'll go really fast, but if you can't control it, then you're going to crash. That's the difference between me driving a Formula 1 car and Lewis Hamilton driving a Formula 1 car. Before I go on to specific rudiments and sticking patterns, I'm going to look at the individual strokes that you need to use to make your rudiments sound good. These are the building blocks of each rudiment. There are 4 strokes that we use to play most of the things that we need to play on drums. The strokes that we use are defined by 2 things: the volume of the note that we're playing, and secondly, the volume of the following note that we play with the same hand. It's all about being economical and efficient with your movement and developing a fluid motion. Let's look at each of these strokes one at a time. So, as I said before, the stroke that we need to use for each note that we play is defined by the volume of the note we're playing and the volume of the note to follow on the same hand. We're essentially adjusting the height of the stick to match the volume of the note that we're going to play. The full stroke is used when we need to play a loud note followed by another loud note. So we start with the stick in a high position and it returns to the same high position. If you're playing a single stroke roll, you'll be playing hand to hand full strokes. The stick returning to the same height each time. You'd also use a full stroke in a double paradiddle, playing the first accent. The key to this stroke is using the bounce of the stick properly. Play from the wrist and keep everything nice and loose. Your grip should be at its most relaxed as you hit the drum. It's kind of like a throw and a catch. You should feel the stick bouncing back into your hand. Play with a constant motion. It's kind of the same as bouncing a ball off the floor. As the ball comes up, you move your hand with the flight of the ball to keep it under control. It's the same kind of thing here. Begin by practicing this one hand at a time. Maintain a nice flow and make sure the stick is bouncing up to the same height each time. Your stick height is really important for controlling your volume. If you're going to play a nice even single stroke roll, you need both sticks to be coming to the same height as each other. It's quite common for some players to lift their stronger hand higher, which gives you an uneven single stroke roll like this. So you can see that the height of the stick is affecting the volume. The downstroke is used to play an accent where the following note on the same hand needs to be a quiet note. That looks like this. This time we're controlling the bounce of the stick by stopping it just as it comes back off the drum head, rather than letting it come all the way back up. Stopping it just about an inch or so above the drum head. I like to call this home position, just where you're kind of resting your hands in between strokes. Again, the same as the full stroke, on the downstroke it's really important that you loosen your grip on the way down, so your grip is really relaxed when you hit the drum, and then you're catching the stick after. A common mistake that I see with this stroke when people first try to get it is that they open the grip at the top and close it on the way down, like this. Just kind of the opposite way around. And you can hear that doesn't sound very good. You get this horrible buzz and you're digging the stick into the drum head. And it's not very good for your wrists or your elbows either. You're absorbing shock from the stick every time you hit a drum with a tight grip. So if you're practicing this stroke repeatedly on the same hand, make sure you set it up again at the top. Closed grip at the top, relax on the way down, and just catch it. Again, you should feel the stick bounce up first into your hand, but you're just catching it lower than the full stroke. Let's try the next stroke. The upstroke is probably the trickiest one to get the hang of, but once you do, it'll make a massive difference to your playing. Its function is to play a quiet note, so we're starting at this home position where the downstroke finished. And it's kind of the reverse of the downstroke, so we're starting down here, we play the note, and we're setting ourselves up to play an accent or a loud note. So you need to generate this motion with your wrist. Use this upward motion with your wrist. This is naturally going to make the stick point downwards and play the note without any effort. Your wrist should be the highest point on your arm. A common mistake that I see with this one is that the wrist is too stiff and they end up using the elbow to pull away, like this. We don't want to use that much arm to play this stroke. It's all generated from the wrist. Try and do it a bit sideways. You see, just by pushing the wrist up, it points the stick down to play the stroke. It's also important not to use any backlift on the stick. It's kind of counterintuitive, but you don't want to lift the stick first. We're playing from this height, not from this height. So make sure that you're not lifting the stick first to try and use any more leverage from the stick. Remember, this is to play quiet notes, so we don't need all that much volume from the stick. There's enough volume in the stick at this height. Just to play a little tap and move upwards. So the fourth and final stroke to look at is the tap, which is really just a mini full stroke. You start with your sticks in this home position again. We're going to start here and return to the same height. So we're playing a quiet note and setting ourselves up to play another quiet note. Again, the same as the upstroke, we don't need any backlift to execute this stroke. There's enough volume in the height that we've got already to play from that height. Once you've got these strokes down individually, you should start putting them into a sequence. This is the basis of the Mahler technique, really. We're going to leave the full stroke out for now and just focus on down, tap and up. First of all, start with the down and up stroke and start blending them together. It's pretty much what you would do on your hi-hat when you're playing an accented eighth note pattern. Playing down, up, down, up. Each stroke is setting up the next one. Do it a bit quicker. And we start to feel this circular motion, a constant motion. Then add a tap in between the down and up stroke to give you a 3-note triplet pattern. So you can play down, tap, up, down, tap, up. Again, the 3 strokes combined to form a circular fluid motion. Giving us consistent timing and consistent volume. If we make this a 4-note sequence, down, tap, tap, up, then we can play consistent 16th notes on one hand. Down, tap, tap, up, down, tap, tap, up. Again, playing with a constant motion. Everything's fitting into that circular motion. That's all for now. Check out some of my other rudiment videos to see how to apply these strokes to specific rudiments. Remember to subscribe here and also follow me on Instagram at @FillTheBeat. Thanks for watching.